So guys, it's time for part 2 of triggering every Premier League team's fan base. If you haven't watched part 1, it's linked below. Nevertheless, sit back, relax and enjoy this roast. I repeat, this video is not for the faint of heart. You have been warned. Leicester City. Obviously, Leicester won the Premier League just almost 9 years ago. That won't happen again. But what often goes under the radar about this team is how professional they are at bottling chances. In 2020, you lost at home to Manchester United and missed out on the Champions League. And in 2021, you lost to Chelsea and Tottenham in the last 2 games and missed out on the Champions League. They've had multiple chances to qualify for the Champions League, or at least a top 6 team. But all you've done is proved how much of a fluke that Premier League win was. Leicester signed Islam Slimani from Sporting Lisbon for a record fee with the hope of retaining a high status in the league, but he didn't live up to the hype. Neither did the team. Imagine, that summer both Sadio Mane and Gabriel Jesus were available. Islam Slimani was wasted money and another missed opportunity. Liverpool. It took 3 decades of "this is our year" campaigns from Liverpool fans before they could win a Premier League trophy in 2020. Is there a more glamorized player in Premier League history without actually lifting the trophy than Steven Gerrard? Played almost 2 decades for Liverpool and never got it done. Not to mention that Gerrard handed Man City a Premier League trophy, sipped on his in 2014. Even Jordan Henderson has a greater legacy than Gerrard. But what I hate most about Liverpool fans is that you stood by Luis Suarez, that rabbit, another player that did nothing for your club. That cannibal chewed off Branislav Ivanovic and Giorgio Chiellini. Your club and fan base wore t-shirts and publicly defended Suarez after he was racist to Patrice Evra, which means that Liverpool fans, the club, are all shamelessly racist. Manchester City. I doubt anyone can get triggered by this because City fans are just a bunch of plastic bandwagons anyway. There's no way that the recent success in Man City is because Pep Guardiola is some tactical genius. They're an oil club. 115 charges of breaching Premier League financial rules for almost a decade, which encompasses every trophy and the 8 Premier Leagues you've won since 2011. Your punishment is already being served this season, and I hope by maybe spring or summer that Man City will face relegation. They're cheats, and they've been cheating for years. And I think what's more embarrassing is that you attain all this money, all these Premier League titles, and still no one even shows up to your parades because no one even cares. And if you are as good as you say you are, that includes you, Pep, you'd have more than just 2 Champions League final appearances. In 2021, you lost to Chelsea. The second was a tight win over Inter, who really should have won that game. Manchester United. Sir Alex Ferguson is well and truly the greatest manager at controlling every aspect of matches. And that's why Manchester United fans worship him. He's a cheat. People wonder why the post-Ferguson era at Manchester United has been so much of a frenzy where former players perform much better when they leave. It's not because David Moyes and Jose Mourinho don't know how to coach. They just weren't able to manipulate the game, the refs, time wasting and bending the rules the way Ferguson did. It's also extremely sus that his retirement in 2013 coincided with a time where changes in refereeing were emerging, including increased scrutiny on officials and VAR, at a time when their rivals Man City were increasingly getting better, and later Liverpool. If anyone foresaw the doom of Manchester United, it was Alex Ferguson. You passed up multiple opportunities to sign Erling Haaland for as little as £4 million before the world even knew him, only for him to join forces with City and continuously haunt you. Newcastle United. They're pretty much a B-Tech Man City where they've accumulated so much wealth from Saudi ownership. The difference is no one wants to play up north in Newcastle. 55 years and counting, this club is still trophyless. Professional bottlers, they love losing. I'd have more sympathy if Newcastle didn't have the means to win. But they have, particularly in the 90s and early 2000s. You had a record goal scorer in Alan Shearer, including Felipe Albert and Andy Cole, but still failed to win. In the 1995-96 season, Newcastle led the league by 12 points and bottled it, 4 points behind champions Manchester United. You reached the finals of the FA Cup in 1998 and 1999 and lost both games. So when I say that Newcastle are professional bottlers, it's not out of emotion, it's the genuine truth, and Newcastle fans know it. Nottingham Forest. Most people know that Nottingham Forest have a successful history, winning back-to-back European Cups in 1979 and 1980. But the last time Forest won a trophy, 21-year-old Roger Federer had just won his first Wimbledon. Given the history, they're an underachieving team. And if you're a Forest fan, you should really feel embarrassed about your 2018 signing of João Carvalho. He only had 7 appearances for Benfica, signed him for a record fee whilst 13th in the championship. You hyped him up, hope that he'd be this game changer, and he flopped and spent most of his time on loan. You'd be damned if you expect much from Nottingham Forest. Southampton. Similar to Brighton in part 1 actually, just one of those clubs that you can easily exploit because the ownership take pride in consistently selling their best players to accumulate profits, like Ward-Prowse, dismantling their team one season after another without any interest in actually winning anything, which is why Southampton are so irrelevant. And just to illustrate how careless Southampton are about actually winning the Premier League, they brought back a washed-up Theo Walcott in 2021 on a permanent deal. They should never have signed him. No goals or assists in 2022. It was just a strange, fake, emotional homecoming. He made his debut at the age of 16 and then moved to Arsenal 5 or 6 months later. Like, seriously? Shouldn't never have signed him, but they chased this Cinderella story that no one cared about and tried to be relevant. This is one of many costly decisions Southampton made, which led to their most recent relegation. They have no actual care about winning. Tottenham Hotspur. You can easily spend at least a day talking about Tottenham's dysfunction. They had arguably the best duo in Premier League history with Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, but I think also the centre-back pairing of Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen often gets underrated. You've always had the resources to win, but never have. But if I had to pick a season to really trigger Spurs fans, it's the 2015-16 season. Because you not only allowed Leicester to win the league in a season that you should have, but you also allowed Arsenal to finish above you. It's shameless to think that you're rivals to Arsenal. At Tottenham's best, they falter under pressure. Just like when you defied all odds to reach the Champions League final in 2019 and lost to Liverpool. Harry Kane knows more than anyone how helpless Tottenham are. That's why he left. And when he wins a trophy this season, it won't just be Arsenal fans laughing their heads off. West Ham United. They had this ambitious mission, the Academy of Football, to develop world-class players, which sounds all well and good, but in actual reality is a scheme that fleeces young, ambitious prospects. In the last 5 years, only one academy graduate has started for West Ham. They're the joint lowest club in number of minutes to club-trained players, and the average age of their squad is 28.8 years. That's pretty messed up that you lie and give empty promises to thousands of kids across the country without any interest in implementing even one of them in the first team. It's not like the academy didn't win the FA Youth Cup recently. These are talented young players, especially as a team based in London. Grady Diangana and Josh Cullen, two of many top prospects whose innocent dreams were crushed and shattered by West Ham. That's messed up. But what's worse is your long history of hooliganism and damaging random. I guess that's why you're called the Hammers. All that fighting and damaging only for your owners to move you to a stadium that's not even suitable for football. A stadium the fans never even wanted. They're the epitome of a couldn't care less organisation. Wolverhampton Wanderers. George Mendes is supposed to be an advantage to Wolves' transfer policy, which is serving the needs of players from Portugal, but not Wolverhampton's club ambition. Most of their history is not even in the Premier League, which is why no one pays attention to them unless you're a Wolves fan. They were promoted to the league for the first time in 2003, but relegated the following season. They've been relatively stable in more recent years, but the team missed out on an opportunity to capitalise on an almost historic return to the Premier League. Under Nuno Espirito Santo for the 2018-19 season, the team was competitive with victories over Man City, Chelsea, and reaching the FA Cup semi-final. They had a solid core with Ruben Neves, Diego Jota, and Raul Jimenez, but you underachieved and finished 7th because you couldn't defeat lower ranked teams, and you missed out on the best opportunity in your club's history to secure a spot in the Europa League. Your rivals, Aston Villa, are in the knockouts of the Champions League, so you should feel highly ashamed of that.